need that. This time on Finnegan's Garage, not one, not two, not three, but 4 turbos on 2 different jet boats. And these guys, recognize them? That's Pete Harrel from the Real Good at Doing Stuff channel and Kevin Smith from the KSR YouTube channel. Go follow them right now. Their stuff is way better than my stuff, trust me. So the last time we were all together, we water tested Wifey's boat and it was successful. Not fast, but successful. We went about 80 miles an hour. But more importantly, the boat survived it, and I went on vacation with my wife. Now we're back home, and we're going to address some of the things that the boat needs. A lot of which you guys commented on, which was pretty cool. Our need for a water pressure regulator, instead of just restricting the water going to the motor and the intercooler. I bought one. We just didn't have it when these guys were here. So this should solve our problem. And we're also going to hook up a boost controller because clearly, the way we have the wastegates plumbed, doesn't seem to matter what springs we put in it, they're not gonna stay shut. So we're gonna add CO2 to the dome. We're gonna use the Holly to control it, and we should go faster today. Okay, so let's talk about how a wastegate works, right? You have exhaust pressure coming into the bottom of the wastegate, wanting to push it open, and on a budget deal, the spring inside of the wastegate is what's keeping the diaphragm shut and the valve seat shut, which allows all of the exhaust to go into the turbocharger, make it spin really fast, make boost, make more power. But when the exhaust pressure overcomes the spring pressure, it lifts the valve off the seat and then directs some of that exhaust out the wastegate into the atmosphere. And it stops the turbo from spinning even faster, making even more boost. So we have put stiffer springs in our wastegates on this 427, but they don't seem to be holding it shut. And I think that's just because we have 100% of the exhaust going right into the wastegate. It's, I guess, what's called prioritizing the wastegate. And it's not a giant wastegate. It doesn't have a lot of surface area. So we now need more help to hold the wastegate shut to make more boost. So this boat already has CO2 in it, in this little 2.5 pound bottle. And that is running a lot of the stuff that controls the jet drive. We're gonna tee into that, feed these 2 solenoids. Then our Holly ECU is going to tell this solenoid to send the incoming CO2 out to the top of the wastegate domes, holding them shut. And then the ECU is going to tell this valve to open up to let CO2 out. And it's going to keep doing that really fast. Go click, 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 until we get the exact right amount of boost, which I don't know what that is. Right now we're making 8 pounds. Let's shoot for 15, see what happens, you know, and go from there. Because right now, the truth is 8 pounds of boost with this 427 engine and the impeller that's in that jet drive is about 4,900 RPM. It's not much. It's, if you believe the charts on the internet, it's like 500 horsepower. It's not much. I think the motor's making more than that, but that's what the charts say. And so you really don't party until that jet drive is spinning 7,000 RPM. That's a lot of speed. So, speaking of CO2, it's really safe, it's really effective. I highly recommend it as long as you pay attention to it. Dave, remember about 10 minutes ago when I was like, hey, by the way, that CO2 bottle's getting really hot. We need to fill the little bottles and then disconnect the bottle heater. We didn't do that. This is why you don't have to script any of this stuff.
Well, that was exciting.
We live. Literally every welding store you go to has a picture on the counter, and it's like showing you worst case scenario of what happens when you knock the regulator off a bottle of argon or CO2 and the bottle turns into a missile and goes through a concrete wall. And that's what was in my brain when all that noise was happening. So we're gonna replumb the water system, add the CO2 back into it, and then we're gonna go test boats.
Hooking up your boost control.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, we might not need the CO2 at this juncture, because something I never noticed, and I don't think anyone else did, was that I've been driving around with that coupler blown apart. And I'm really wondering, did that happen when we were lake testing? Because we kept sticking more spring in the wastegates and it did nothing. And maybe if both turbos are actually feeding the motor, this thing will go a lot faster.
A little faster.
Because if you're, we released the video and I said it went about 80 miles an hour and it was only turning 4,900 RPM, which if you look at the American Turbine impeller chart, that says this motor was only making 500 horsepower, which there's no way this engine only made 500 horsepower with 8 pounds of boost. So yeah, I think maybe CO2 is the second test we do today. Maybe we just hook up both turbos and go out with the little springs again.
Yeah, it's got little springs in it now. So it's got 5-pound springs in it.
Okay.
And then we can peak and just set it up to target 0 dome. So it's just the spring then.
Okay.
And then see what that does. And then 5 pounds dome, 10 pounds dome, 50 pounds dome. And we'll see what happens.
What else? So more boost, colder water, plumbed right. So I'm gonna knock this out. We're gonna finish wiring and plumbing, and then we'll go test. We definitely have the YouTube starter kit going on here today. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 GoPros. If we don't have the angle you guys want of this today, then I don't know what to tell you. So quick recap. It should go faster. Water system is now plumbed through the intercooler first and then the engine, which means our air inlet temp will be cooler, which means we're gonna make more power. We have stopped restricting the water out of the jet drive. We now have a water pressure regulator, taking care of the water pressure going into the motor and the intercooler. There that is right there. But most importantly, the thing I'm most excited about is we're gonna have 2 functioning turbos this time. That elbow on the driver's side was completely apart. And we're not entirely sure when it happened, but I believe it happened the first time we drove the boat, which means all those times we were putting springs in this, trying to make more boost and go faster, and it wasn't working. I think it's because we had a giant boost leak right there. So, yeah, we put 5-pound springs in the wastegates. We now have CO2 going to the domes, which Pete can control on the laptop. And I predict we go faster today. Question is, who's floating in the middle of the lake for the flyby?
That'd be Kevin.
On Doris. She's a little droopy, but I believe she will work just fine. Kevin's down.
I'm down.
All right, let's go.
That looked way faster.
Yeah, so that was, I think about 5,400 RPM. I lifted at 85 miles an hour because the boat is hopping. And I think the next thing will be to get these guys out of the boat and see what that does. But it might be time to maybe lower the shoe and try to pick up some more water. Because the more power we give it, the worse the hopping is getting. We're now to the point now where we have to like make sure the bottom of the boat is actually working for what we're doing.
It like hit harder. It was like,
oh yeah, it sounded good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was only I think 5,400 RPM, somewhere around there.
It didn't sound like it. It sounded
like it came on hard.
Yes.
Oh, it hits way harder. Like that was fun. Now we're getting to the point where I'm like, okay, all right, got my attention now. So 10 pounds of boost and game over is 130 miles an hour.
That's it. It's only 10 pounds of boost.
Yeah, that's all we mostly 9 pounds of boost most of the time in that boat. That was probably 15, and it was trucking. It was like 85, and then it started hopping, and I got out of it,
and it was probably going to go 90 or 95, but I lifted because it's hopping. This feels slow. It's getting faster. I'm like, okay. And when it starts hopping, all I can think of is I just need to put these dudes on the shore, and we can turn the boost way up and, party.
The laptop. Looks like he's playing with the fuel map.
Yeah, I'll just kind of swing things out a little bit.
Table. And how much dome pressure did you put on it, Pete?
Well, that I just put 5 on it. That was 0. So now we're gonna have 5.
It's one of my favorite songs. Put 5 on it.
Yeah. Another 5 on it.
All right. So we had. How much total do you think 5 on the dome is gonna make?
If I were guessing, I would say it's gonna make another 4 or 5 pounds boost.
Woo, that's gonna be fun.
Test day 2. Day 1 went really good. In fact, we never even got around to playing with Game Over because we were having so much fun with Wifey's boat. And we've got a plan to go faster. We went 103 miles an hour on, was it 10 pounds of boost?
No, that was probably 16.
16 pounds of boost was 103. We went 10 miles an hour on 19 pounds of boost and found a bunch of hardware in the bottom of the boat. I believe some of this holds the turbo together, so I'm glad we stopped. The rest of it, I'm not even sure where it came from. It's some pipe plugs and a lock washer, but I'm sure that'll work itself out later. So the plan is to turn up the boost again today, but we're also going to start addressing the underwater hardware on the boat because it has 2 solid hops in the middle of the run, which I've told for this style of hull is very common. But the good thing about this boat is it's driving through it and it just keeps on pulling, which is nice. But the keel and the jet drive are designed for a lot of horsepower, like somewhere around 1600. The math says that we're turning this, it's either a 3 or a 4A impeller. It's giant. We're turning it 5,700 RPM, I think, right?
Yep.
That says this is making about 1,300 horsepower right now, which is awesome. And to go 110 at just 5,700 RPM is really good at a jet boat. So we're doing good. I feel good about it. I'm going to lower the shoe, which is this deal, this bolt to the bottom of the jet drive intake. And it has these shims that you can stack to lower it. And that will lower the biting edge of the shoe in relation to the bottom of the boat. It'll pick up more water. We only have, I think, 30 or 40 pounds of jet pump pressure coming in, so there's room to give it more. And as we give it more, it should accelerate more. It might get rid of the hop, which means it's going to run better. Everything should get better by lowering this. So we're gonna take a shim out, put another one in of a different thickness. That'll drop it 30 thousandths of an inch, and it should be a pretty decent size change. The other thing we're going to do is we are once again replumbing our cooling system. I'm going to take you to the whiteboard and we can show you what we've done so far and what the results have been. So here's the basic layout. Jet drive, engine, intercooler. When we first set the boat up, we set it up opposite of Game Over. Game Over has a water line coming from the jet drive and it goes into the intercooler, then the engine, then the hot water gets dumped overboard. So it's out of the engine. This boat, we plumbed the other way. We went jet drive,
engine, preheated the water a little bit, intercooler, which used to work, and then it dumped overboard. Well, we've been having two problems. We have way too much water pressure in the engine and that intercooler. We saw as much as 80 PSI yesterday. And the air inlet temp going into the motor was getting pretty hot. So yesterday we put a pressure regulator on it, which cut the flow of the water so much that the engine was overheating. We ended up taking that back out. Yesterday we did replumb it where it went jet drive, intercooler, then engine. That lowered our air inlet temp, but we're still having problems with pressure. Way too high. We saw like 80 pounds of inlet pressure, right? Or 80 pounds of coolant pressure yesterday, which is too much. My guess is the intercooler core wouldn't be happy about that. So today what we're going to do, and I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, because it's why the parts are there. This jet drive, it's an American turbine. It's a Dominator jet drive by American Turbine that was blueprinted by Big League Racing. It actually has two water outlets. We've only been using one. So what we're going to do now is go jet drive, engine, overboard, jet drive, intercooler, overboard. These are both -10 lines. This is going to get a -16 out because it's plumbed for -16 fittings from Frankenstein. This is going to get -12 out. And my hope is that by removing the intercooler restriction, the water pressure in the engine block goes down. And that by not sharing the water inlet between the two of them, we'll get more flow through the intercooler and start dropping the air inlet temp. Because how hot did that get yesterday on the last pass?
170 or so.
Yeah, 100
It's headed north. So
yeah. The intercooler is not effective right now. And I think it's our fault. I think it's because we just don't have a good water supply going to it. And we have an entire lake full of 80-degree water. You know, we should take advantage of that. So those are the two things we're going to do this morning. We're going to replumb all this temporarily. We'll have hoses running over the back of the boat and zip ties and all that stuff just to test it and see if it works. And then we're going to drop the shoe and feed the jet drive more water, go back out, turn up the boost, and see how fast we can go. And once we're all done playing with this, we'll put game over in the water and, I don't know, go fishing or something.
All right, so this is obviously temporary. I'm basically piecing scraps together. This is some heat protector stuff off of Game Over from a couple years ago.
This is good stuff. So this is Fireflex. Yes. This is Fireflex. It's made by TechFlex. You can get it at wirecare.com. This stuff will withstand 500 degrees continuous. Mm-hmm. It will not melt. It will not support combustion. This is the kind of stuff you want when you're trying to run cold water next to your hot turbo.
Yeah. So basically we're going to plumb it into the intercooler there. Okay. We're going to bring it over here, kind of lay it over here, zip tie it. I'm going to put a barb fitting. This is where we pick up water at right there. There's one on each side.
Barb fitting, that's tight.
I put a barb fitting because it fits right here perfectly because I don't have another fitting. And we're going to just hose clamp this right there.
I love it.
And be done.
I love it.
And then I'll build a -16 hose for the other side, the outlet, and come out the center, have like a center dump.
Dude. It's race stuff right there.
I'm churching this baby up.
Someday, you know, when this works, because I think it will, someday we'll make some trick billet outlet thing right here for the side of the boat so that all these water lines can dump out here so that when you're in the driver's seat, you can look back and see, yeah, I have water coming out, you know, we haven't clogged anything, we're not going to overheat, you know.
This will work. It has to work.
This is beta testing. Yeah, it has to work. We have nothing left.
Science. That's what I was about to say. Science.
Physics.
So you're lying.
Hydrodynamics. Yes. Stuff. I'm using all the big words.
I didn't have the nuts to look down to see what RPM it was turning, but it got to 110 real quick, and then I lifted when I saw 111, and it drove great. Had like maybe 1-2 little hops, but it didn't seem to care. The shoe change helped it. It definitely is accelerating harder. Yeah, that's the best it's driven so far. So dropping the shoe, bueno. And when you plug into it, I think we're gonna see maybe it turned a little more RPM. Maybe the air inlet temp was better. Like,
Let's do it.
we're on the right track. That was fun. It sounds gnarly in here now. Like, I felt like I was on it for so long.
You went away.
I was like, well, it's going good. It's still climbing. It's not slowing down. I was like, I'll just stay in it. And then I blew the pop off, lifted, and you have to lift so far before it does anything. Like, when you blow the valve and the load comes off the motor and you lift off the throttle, nothing happens. Because yesterday we went 108 when I lifted, and I know it hit 110. This time I saw 110. Decided to lift and saw 111, and when I backed off the throttle, I swear it was still accelerating until I got like half throttle, and then it started slowing down. We went from, what did we go yesterday, 85 in the morning? Something like that? Mm-hmm. No. In the morning it was 70. We went 70 miles an hour off the trailer yesterday morning. We just went 111 with some plumbing tweaks that may or may not have worked, and a lot of keystrokes and some persistence. I don't know if it'll be the same video that you see both boats in, but we're going to go get game over right now before Pete has to tear out of here and go see if that thing still works after a year of sitting on the trailer. Yeah, so we got to put the top end of the motor back together, injection, clean the fuel out, clean lines, and then fire it up and then go drive again. This is excellent timing. I forgot it's Tuesday night, and I don't know, it's like a bass fishing tournament every Tuesday night on this lake. And so these dudes are in a hurry trying to get to their favorite spots, and I'm sure they're going to be thrilled when they hear all this noise. Because we're about to take Kevin for his first 100-mile-an-hour ride on water.
There's been like 6 boats go this direction, so
It'll be fine.
let your presence be known.
Yep. I'm going to say hi to all of you. So we're here. Awesome video.
Really?
Yeah, y'all pulled right up next to the fisherman and cast it. And I zoomed in on you, him casting, and you. And they're just looking.
Took off. Did they even turn around?
They're just looking at you like.
They're like, we're trying to win a tournament here.
That's great.
I'm sorry. It just was a good spot.
Hey,
That was the perfect start.
This is our spot. It doesn't matter. They came here.
Finders keepers.
That's right.
All right. Kevin's been triple digits. I'm ready for a beer.
Woo!
It's like I mean, I'm sure it gets better like the more you do it, but it's like scary.
Yes, it is.
And like
That never goes away.
well, in a car, you know, you like most of it's like it hits hard. At least when you have traction, it hits hard, and then it's kind of done. You're just along for the ride. But this, no, it's
The faster it goes,
I mean,
the
if that
scarier
was
it goes.
only 100, like
That was 100. That was it. $130 is serious. If you tries to take the helmet up off your head.
I can't imagine. I mean, I know I've been 80 plus with my dad, and that felt like 50 miles an hour faster. Like,
In my
It's
opinion,
wild.
the best bang for the buck, like jet boat experience, is you get a California Performance Gullwing, which is a V-bottom boat, and you put 800 or 900 horsepower in it, and it will out hole shot anything around usually,
Nice.
and it'll go 105, 110, and that's all you need really. Like this is,
that was plenty right there.
I think, I think you would enjoy that. I think we need to hunt for Kevin. Everyone out there, try to help the guy. He needs a California Performance or a Rogers. I'm partial to the Rogers, but
I wouldn't mind the tunnel. I mean,
the tunnel ride's better.
I wouldn't mind the tunnel.
Like if you want to take the wife and kids out and have a hot rod, that's the boat.
That's
right
probably where I'm leaning. I know, you know,
That's-
3 kids.
Yeah.
So
there. That's the one because
Girlfriend.
we had to pick and choose our spots out there. This needs dead flat water. That does not.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, I like the sound of that better.
and it rides better. It's back, and it runs good. What did we do? We enabled the boost controller to finally work. We put the small springs back in the wastegates. Failed to data log anything, so I just took Kevin for a 100-mile-an-hour rip, which I did see on GPS, but I didn't look at anything else, so I don't know what we made for boost, but I know it runs great because it didn't make any weird noises, and I think the fishermen were stoked. So thanks for watching this episode of Finnegan's Garage. Be sure to check out Kevin's YouTube channel, which is...
KSR Performance and Fabrication.
Yeah, and Pete Harrel's channel. He's not here, but it's real good at doing stuff. And we'll see you next time on Finnegan's Garage.